Thank you for joining Sports Development Series. We yours truly, Boma Ekiora. SportDev Series is sponsored by Adewale Baobab fruit powder, one of the most nutritious substances on the planet. Get your baobab fruit powder from adewalebaobab.com. All right, SportDev, welcome guys. Thank you for joining us. My main man Mike is back. Mike, thanks for joining us, man. Much appreciated.
You're welcome, bro.
I know it's early in California. So as usual, SportDev is brought to you by Adewale Baobab fruit powder, natural fruit powder taken from the baobab fruit out of African countries. It's arguably one of the most nutritious substances on the planet. 6 times the vitamin C of oranges, more potassium than bananas. Extremely nutritious. Can be used in smoothies, yogurt, salads. Great product. Check it out on adewalebaobab.com. That's AREWABAOBAB.com. All right, my man, we have an election coming up. NFF, Nigerian Football Federation elections. I think it's September 30th, right?
Well, it was scheduled for September 30th, but I don't know if you're aware, the court has suspended the election until further notice because of certain issues. One could just say the issues that they live in Nigeria, but certain other issues that I think we should discuss those issues actually before even the candidates.
Let's get into those. What issues? What?
All right, so I would advise anyone listening, if you are, and even yourself if you haven't, to read Segun Odegbami's treatise on the problems besetting the NFF in electing new leadership. All right, and again, I'm not going to say this is Bible, but Segun Odegbami is close to the to what the happenings in football in Nigeria. His opinions haven't always been met with 100% acceptance. For example, he was one of the people that kept calling for Gennett Raw to get fired, and which wasn't a bad thing in itself, but just the timing of things was wrong, as we've seen so far. But also, he supported the inclusion of Joseph Yobo into the NFF coaching staff without any experience. So those are some of the things without any certification. So some of the things that people have talked about Segun Odegbami, and they'll still point to as don't listen to him. But at the same time, despite all those drawbacks, there's some pertinent things, key notes that he always hits. One of them is, like I said, detailing this issue we have in the NFF, where candidacy for being a member or election into NFF presidency is sort of a closed process, right? It is a process, and the bylaws of the NFF have made it such that the only people who can really be elected as NFF presidents are the FA state chairman. So, because the way it's set up is that these the people on the board, which is made up of FA state chairmen, are the ones that are responsible for voting. For the most part, they have the majority of the block in voting, and for the most part, all the other statutes they have in the NFF sort of make it difficult for somebody from the outside to just walk in and say, I declare his candidacy for president. One of the things that is plaguing Nigeria is that when you look at a lot of these FA chairmen, they are political appointments. They're appointments of guys who don't really know anything much about the sport, quite frankly. When you look at their achievements in the states, it's nothing to write home about. As we know, majority of these candidates, or majority of the candidates we've had in the past, are candidates that pretty much go in there for self-interest. They look at it as a way to, self-aggrandizement, to step up in the ladder, embezzle money, and do all kinds of stuff. And the good old boy network of FA state chairmen who only elect one of theirs, because what ends up happening is that the candidates will promise certain things. And basically, it's just like voting in Nigeria. It's just like the election process to appoint candidates for offices in APC, PDP, and all these political parties we have, where we all see that it's just a money bag affair. And so that's
Correct.
what these elections have turned into, a money bag affairs where the person with the most money buys all the buys a lot of the votes from the electorate, and basically people who are supposed to be a part of the process have it compromised. Do we want to acknowledge Mr. Ajayi? Or should I continue? But in any case,
continue. Once it gets set, once Mr. Ajayi gets settled, I'll loop him in.
Another issue that it seems that Mr. Odegmami was alluding to also is in as much as we want to open the race. Oh, there's some bylaws in the NFF statute that is causing some issues of legitimacy, which is why you always have these issues where during elections or after the elections, somebody steps up and challenges legally. The last time it was Giwa that challenged and just drugged the whole situation to a mess where football took the backstage, and it seemed like it was just always one lawsuit or the other, one court injunction or the other as to who the real NFF president was or is. And so what Mr. Odegmami was suggesting was that, look, we need to resolve these issues first before we even talk about getting a new NFF president. That's number one. We need to make sure that these bylaws, which can be changed by the sitting Congress of the NFF at any time, these bylaws need to be changed so that there's more transparency and there's also an open field in terms of who can run for these elections.
No, absolutely. Before we continue, hey, Wale, thank you for coming on Sports Development Series. Much appreciated. For those people that don't know, Adewale Ajayi is a former employee of the Nigerian Football Federation in charge of media and publicity. And Wale, please correct me if I miss anything. But he has a vast amount of experience in Nigerian football, with the Federation. He also is familiar with all the people running for the office of the next NFF president. And as Mike mentioned, the elections have been put on hold by a judge indefinitely. So we're currently trying to discuss, and Mike was just pointing out an article written by former Super Eagles great Segun Odegmami, highlighting that the bylaws need to be changed to allow for more involvement in the election. I don't know if you want to jump in and kind of talk about your experience and what you know so far.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come on set, and I want to say that my name is Adewale Ajayi. I was the media officer of the under-20 national team of Nigeria. I was the media officer of the team that had the likes of Victor Osimhen, the likes of Samuel Chukwueze, the likes of Oji Okonkwo, so many of those big stars. Most of those players are now in the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And of course, I've worked with the NFF for more than 10 years. I know virtually everybody involved in Nigerian football today. We have wined and we have dined together. So I seem to know their personality. I seem to know what they've got to bring to the table. And I know what they have got to offer. So now, we're talking about changing the bylaws, trying to improve the laws. And look, let me explain a few things. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to amend the constitution of the NFF. You don't just wake up overnight and say, I want you guys to amend the constitution. There are processes involved. First and foremost, you need to invite the 44 delegates. We have 44 delegates of the NFF. Those 44 delegates make up the Congress of the NFF. Now, if you need to get the Congress of the NFF to sit, there are procedures involved. In the first place, you need to give them time, at least. In fact, in FIFA rules, it says there's always going to be a 6-month notice. 6-month notice for the Congress to sit, to decide on issues like this. So what it means too is that if eventually the Congress sits, they will involve CAF, they will involve FIFA, and they will tell FIFA and CAF that this is our decision. FIFA and CAF will look at the decision and come back and say, okay, we are okay with the decision that has been taken. You guys can go ahead and we are okay by it. You understand? But beyond that, within, there are things that can be done. You understand? If you don't want to go through those processes, you can always do what we call a bylaw. You can simply sit around it and say, okay, look, we don't have time. We can call the NFF executive committee, can say we want to take a decision. We want to amend the constitution. We'll quickly pass it to the Congress. They will call an emergency Congress. You understand? They will quickly call an emergency Congress and say, we cannot do the 6 months waiting. We want this thing to be done urgently. So under this situation, they can do it urgently. And that is what the likes of Aris Njala, the likes of Barry Bote, and others are begging. Say, okay, let's do this urgently. We don't have time. Get this Congress to sit down urgently and take a decision. You understand? But because it doesn't favor the NFF, it doesn't favor those that are running for the position, they will not want to do an urgent one. They want to do it the long way. They will tell you, no, we have FIFA. We need to take it to FIFA. We need to take it to CAF. We need to go through the normal processes. You understand? But these guys, the likes of Aris Njala and Barry Bote, knows that they can do it in 1 week. They can do it in 1 month. They know that the processes can be done through an emergency Congress. You understand? So now, do they have time for an emergency Congress? They had time before now. They would have done that before now. But they refuse to do it because everybody have personal agendas. You understand? That is why they refuse to go through that process. Now, what they are waiting for is, oh, no, the election is here. The election is the 30th of September. We don't have time. Let's go do the election. After the election, we cannot amend the constitution. You understand? To bring everybody in. We'll amend it and give guys. But now the guys are also looking at another loophole. There's a loophole in the status which states that even before the election, we can say, okay, you guys, what do you want? Let's sit down and we'll make the law. We'll do the bylaw. But we will not amend the constitution till after the election. You understand? So the guys are saying, even on the floor of the Congress, you know the Congress, there is a Congress that leads to the election on the 30th. Now, on that day of the election, we have the 44 delegates seated. On the floor of the Congress, where the 44 delegates are seated, we can tell the 44 delegates, let's pass this motion to say that this and this and this has been adopted, and these people cannot be part of the larger Congress after the election has been done. You understand? That is what the likes of Aris Njala and Barry Bote are begging for. They don't mind doing it on the 30th. Barry Bote told me in an interview, he said, look, we don't mind on the 30th of September, before the election, 5 hours before the election, let the Congress sit and say, okay, whatever you guys are demanding, whatever you are asking, we will give it to you. But we'll go ahead with the election, and after the election, we will amend the constitution, and you guys will be accepted to be part of the larger family. Now, that is what everybody is suggesting, and I think that is the only thing that is feasible and that is acceptable at this point in time.
A couple of, Adewale, it's a pleasure to meet you. See you. Bomo has talked about you quite a bit, so finally getting to meet you is a pleasure, definitely. A couple of things I wanted to address in what you were saying. Number one is, I mean, I think the most obvious thing, and we can speak about all things, but I think the most obvious thing here, and you hit the nail on the head perfectly when you said, everybody knows what needs to be done. Yeah. I think there's no doubt. I think everybody involved in this understands what needs to be done to move this process forward. But selfish interests always take precedence over anything else. The truth of the matter is that they just had a Congress. Literally just had a Congress, not even—
They did one in Lagos, just, yes.
So in that Congress, these issues that we're talking about were already at the forefront. In fact, when you look at the agenda of that Congress, you'll see that some of these issues were on the agenda. They never got addressed, right? They never did get addressed. So because, like you said, possibly because look, the FA chairman, they know that this is a cash cow. They're not about to just give up this cash cow they have. Like I was saying before you jumped on, part of what happens is it's a good old boys network. We know, okay, which of you is going to be president next? How many people can share the money bags of these congresses so we can support you? the only persons that are ever going to win these NFF elections are FA chairmen because of the way it's set up in terms of who the electorate is or are. So we know that's not going to happen. I mean, and then the other thing I want to address, and I think there's a misconception here. FIFA allows each federation to run the federation as they see fit. The only thing that FIFA requires is that there is no government interference in how the Football Federation is run. But FIFA has no say in how the NFF decides to create the bylaws. I mean, obviously, there's got to be some sort of symmetry in how FIFA is run.
It's internal matter, yeah.
Right, but at the end of the day, the NFF is run independently. So they can do whatever they want. If they want to, if they want to call a Congress without CAF and FIFA presence, maybe that's in NFF's bylaws. I'm not privy to that. You might be able to expand it, or maybe that's in FIFA's or CAF's bylaws that they need to have these sort of processes. But in reality, NFF doesn't need to do that. Like you said, you pointed out some of these loopholes or these alternatives we have. But I think when it comes down to it, we're really speaking of these FA state chairmen not really wanting to give up their cash cow.
Okay, let me say a few things. We have 44 delegates, 44 desperate delegates. I'm going to break down a few things now. We have 44 desperate delegates. Among those 44 desperate delegates, we have 37 FA chairmen. Those FA chairmen, some of them have been there forever. I know FA chairmen that have been there for 22 years, 24 years. The likes of Amanze Uche Gulam has been there for 24 years. The likes of Ahmed Fresh has been there for 12 years. We know of FA chairmen that just believe that they don't do anything in their states. They have not done anything visible in their state, but they want to sit down there waiting for another 4 years because they know that this is the period when they make their money. Now, let me tell you something. At the last election in Katsina, in fact, the one in Warri, I was there. The one in Katsina, I was already in Canada, so I was not there. But the one in Warri, they move with bats. Some people made over 20,000 US dollars. You understand?
About 2018?
No, the one in 2014 in Warri that took place in Delta State. The one that brought Amaju Pinnikin. The one in 2018 was in Katsina, but I was not there because I came into Canada in 2017. So I'm just trying to explain these things. What these guys know is that the 44 of them, the least you get at a time like this is 20,000 US dollars. So they've made their calculations. Everybody is looking anxiously to this election. They don't want anybody to come in now. But those guys are proposing a new format where at least you get nothing less than 61 or 101 delegates. In fact, they are insisting that they want 101 delegates, where even the journalists have a right to vote, where even the coaches, everybody must have a vote. You understand? That is what those guys are proposing. But the 44 delegates are saying, no, this is our time to make our money. Let's make our money. After this is done, then we can all bring you guys in. We can allow you to come in. But, I mean, everybody wants to be part of it. Because they know, too, that these 44 delegates have already mapped out their strategy. As it stands now, Ibrahim Gusso, who is from the northern part of Nigeria, stands out as the #1 candidate because he's from the north. Apart from the fact that he's from the north, he was the former chairman of chairman under the Amaju Pinnick government, which means that as chairman of chairman, he's in charge of the chairman. He has worked with them closely, he understands them, and he knows what they need. So now these guys have the understanding with Ibrahim Gusso that if we bring you into power, then you're going to favor us. So as it stands, Gusso is already calculating 23 votes. Now, apart from Ibrahim Gusso, there's also Shehu Diko, who is the chairman of the LMC, the league management company that manages the league. Shehu Diko also is one of the contestants from the north. Now, Diko also stands out like Ibrahim Gusso. The fact is that over the last 7 years, Shehu Diko has been sending most of these FA chairmen to league venues as match delegates, match assessors, and every weekend he gives them like 100,000, 120,000 to go and see league matches and send in reports. Most of them don't send in reports because they cannot even write. But the fact is that they know that this is a man who over the years has helped them, has given them opportunities to make money. So it's another top candidate for this position. Now, the The man many think could take Nigerian football to the next level is a certain Musa Amadu. Musa Amadu was the former general secretary under the Aminu Megari-led board. He was there between 2010 and 2016. Amaju Pinnick came in 2014 and sacked Musa Amadu in 2016. Why was Musa Amadu sacked? Musa Amadu was sacked because when the FIFA money after the 2014 World Cup came in, there's this money that FIFA normally gives to federations that participate at the World Cup. The money came in
about 3.6 million.
Yes, well, God bless you. So when that money came in, 3.6 million US dollars, when that money came in, the money normally is meant for development. FIFA will insist that that money should be used to develop football from the grassroots level. So Musa Amadu, being the general secretary, insisted that that money should be used according to what FIFA said. But Amaju Pinnick, being the president of the NFF, said no. So this money was shared between board members and some of the FA chairmen. You understand? So those are the issues. Immediately the money was shared. Musa Amadu felt that this is not the right thing, and they decided to sack Musa Amadu. Because
I thought he resigned.
No. They told him, you see, these things happen even in football. They will tell the coach, look, we don't want to sack you. We'll advise you to resign. So he was advised to resign because there was a sack letter on his table. You understand? Okay. So he had to leave. So they gave him what they call a severance fee. The severance fee they gave to him was 6.2 million naira. 6.2 million naira. When Musa Amadu was general secretary, he was on 600,000 naira per month. Sanusi Muhammad, that took over from him, is presently on 3.8 million naira per month. Now they gave Sanusi a contract that will extend to 2025. So what it means is that even as Amaju is going, Sanusi will remain in office as general secretary till 2025. They've already mapped out the strategy. The plan was for Amaju to continue. They thought Amaju could get a third term. That was why Amaju gave Sanusi a contract that will last until 2025. They did their calculations. Even before now, they all had their calculations done out. But unfortunately for them, Amaju is gone. Sanusi will remain to perpetrate the evil. Now, the evil is that they want to install another stooge of Amaju. It's going to be either Ibrahim Gusso or Shehu Diko. Either Ibrahim Gusso or Shehu Diko. Those are the two stooges they want to bring in. Now, the federal government has realized too that Musa Amadu is the only man with integrity based on what he did when he insisted that they must use that money to develop football. And now the government has nominated Musa Amadu as the government candidate. We are only waiting for that announcement to be done. Once that announcement is being done, then there will be a problem. There will be a crisis because the Amaju gang wants the Amaju people to come in, and government is coming up with a candidate now. These are issues that have not been discussed out there because we are waiting for the official announcement of Musa Amadu as the government candidate, and that is the only way we can stop this cabal from taking over Nigerian football. But again, those other guys are fighting. They want their people to be involved in the Congress because they also know that if we don't have outsiders coming to the Congress, those 44 delegates will decide who will be there, and they already know who will be there. And of course, if the same set of people come into Nigerian football, will remain where we are in the last 8 years.
Well, thanks for that breakdown. That was very, very insightful. I have two quick questions for you. One is the Jala and Baribote injunction right now.
Yeah.
You know, I know of Baribote. He used to own Nembe City.
Nembe City, yeah.
Football club, yeah. So, and we can talk about that later. But I think, why now? Why didn't they make this issue they have with the bylaws and the constitution? Why didn't they take this to court? 10 months ago. Why did they take this to court?
They've been in court all this while. In fact, they went to court. The Congress was supposed to sit in Lagos, December 2021 in Lagos. This Congress would have met. You understand? But they stopped the Congress from meeting to fix a date for the election.
Okay.
That was when they first went to court. So now count it. December 2021, they first went to court. That should be more than 10 months from now. You understand?
Okay.
So they first went to court in December 20. They stopped the Congress that was taking place, that was to take place in Lagos in December 2021. Now, when they stopped the Congress, government now came in. The minister invited them and asked them what was their issues. They told the ministry that they wanted the Congress to be expanded. They just, all they are asking is an expanded Congress. Give everybody a chance to be part of the Congress. 44 delegates for a country like Nigeria. Even in Cameroon, they have over 70 delegates. In other countries, even in Ghana, they have over. So why is Nigeria, a big country of over 200 million people, having just 44 delegates to decide the fate of Nigerian football? That's what they're asking. And I think they have a point.
It's a valid point. But the thing is this, I think for a lot of our viewers, they probably aren't familiar with the governing structure, the system of the NFF. How are those delegates selected, and how is the Congress, according to NFF, set up? Who decides who makes up the Congress, or who decides who those delegates are? What's that process like?
The process is simple. I think the decision over time has been that the executive committee of the NFF, especially the president of the NFF, the president will sit with the executive committee and say, look, this is how we go about it. The Congress is set up based on the fact, based on the status. In the status, of course, over the years, before Sani Lulu came into office, it was Sani Lulu that came and changed the format of the Congress. Before Sani Lulu, we had over 70 people in the Congress. But when Sani Lulu came, because every government come in and try to change it to favor themselves. Now, because when you come in, you have 4 years. You're already thinking of doing 8 years. You understand? You already think Sani Lulu did it and thought he could get 8 years. But it didn't work, because that was the time when the federal government set up a presidential task force. The task force truncated its plan even before the end of the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. So just when we finished the 2010 World Cup, the task force sent a report to the federal government, and the government took a position and said, we don't want these boards to return to office. So they knew they were not coming back. In 2014, Aminu Megari did not truncate the process. He allowed the 44 Congress to remain in office. Amaju Pinnick, being the president, could have come in and said, look, I want to change it. I want to reduce it. I want to increase it. You understand? But you also start with the 44 delegates. Now, this is what they do. To get the delegates, the first thing you do is you go to the FA. We have 37 FAs. That is the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. So we have 37 FAs. The Coaches Association will give you the president. That makes it 38. The Referees Association will give you the president. That makes it 39. The league management company, the LMC, will give you their chairman. That makes it 40. The NNL will give you their chairman. That makes it 41. The NLO, that is the amateur league, will give you their own president. That will make it 42. Then there's also this what they call it, what they call it, the PFA, that is Players Union. The Players Union. It used to be Tijani Babangida. Tijani Babangida was the president of the Players Union. So Tijani Babangida would have made it 43. But Amaju playing a dirty game. He knew that Tijani Babangida doesn't like him. There have been issues between Tijani Babangida and members of the Tijani Babangida team, including Aris Njala. Remember that Aris Njala took Amaju Pinnick to a court in Benin City, and that case is still pending in a court in Benin City. That is personal issue. They had personal issue. They are both from the South, and they went to court. Because of that, Amaju Pinnick got angry with the Tijani Babangida-led board because he felt that Tijani Babangida, being a member of the Congress, should have spoken to Aris Njala to withdraw that case, that personal matter, from court. Now, Tijani Babangida said, I don't have a right to stop Aris Njala from fighting you. It's a personal issue. You guys should go and settle it. Now, because of that, Amaju Pinnick now felt that if you think that you can do that, then I'm going to do something. He now went to FIFA and said he does not recognize the Players Union led by Tijani Babangida. He now set up another body led by, Chikelu Ilonansi. So now they became two rival groups, you understand? So they became two rival groups in the Players Union. So now it's not saying that the Tijani Babangida group is no longer recognized, and that the group that should be recognized by FIFA is the Chikolo Elonasi group. And that is another issue that is in court too. So we have 3 or 4 pending issues in court. And the Jala group and the Babangida group have also told Amaju Pinnick that they will fight with him till the very end just to make their case known. So those are the issues. Like I said, I've mentioned 43. I think I forgot one. So that is how they were able to come out. Before, we used to have the media was part of the Congress. The media was part of the Congress. School sports was part of the Congress. Youth Fund, you know Youth Fund? Right. Youth Fund was also part of the Congress. It was an extended Congress, very enlarged Congress, over 60 members of the Congress before. But because Sani Lulu thought that it could manipulate the Congress to get those that are loyal to him to be part of the Congress, that was how they reduced it to 44. You understand? That was how we came to the 44. Since
44 is also less money bags that you have to spread during the Congress.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it 82 to quickly manipulate those you want to manipulate. If you want to give them $10,000 US, it means that you are spending about $440,000 US. So they know, they have done their calculations and they know where they're going to. But because if you make it 100 people and you want to give 100 people $10,000 US, you know you're going to spend so much. So everybody, they are trying to reduce the Congress to favor themselves. So that is how we go to 44. But we know that they can expand it to 100. But every candidate, every presidential aspirant that comes into office, or everybody that becomes NFL president, have their calculation. Immediately they become the president of the NFL, they're already thinking of the next 4 years. They want to manipulate the Congress in such a way that it will favor them to return for another 4 years.
Yeah, so, you know, it's amazing that, you know, we've spent all this time talking about, you know, basically how this election is just rigged to start with anyway, before we even begin. It's pretty much rigged. And this is the problem we have in a lot of Nigerian elections. We spend less time discussing the merits of the candidates. Rather, we spend a lot of time discussing legal issues, this, that, but rarely are we discussing if this candidate is best for the job. You know, and at this point, it looks to me like there's only 2 candidates at this point, you know, and maybe 3 if you consider the Madu person that the government is supposedly endorsing. When you look at these candidates, I look at Shehu Diko. He's in charge of the league management league. It's been a failure. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's been a failure. The league is a failure. The league, we don't even know who our champion is sometimes. We don't know who's going to represent Nigeria in the continental showcases. Before it's about to start. Yes. Yeah,
Mike, last week I had a coach on, Coach Bifo, Usman Bifo on, and he was explaining that the league has not had a sponsor in the last 6 years. So if you can think about that for a second, it's like, okay, Shehu Diko has been in charge of the league management committee. How does the league not have a sponsor for 6 years? How are players still complaining about lack of salaries? They don't get paid. How do players have a contract with clubs, but they don't see a copy of their contracts?
Yeah.
These are fundamental problems. So for him to now decide to run for office, like you're saying, with all these issues, it means he feels there's no accountability for his performance.
Yeah, he knows that the people have lost confidence in him. Shehu Diko is a personal friend. We talk almost every day, and if you ask me before now, I will tell you that the most intelligent is an Hausa man. I don't know him. I'm from the southwest. He's from the east, from the north. But you see, in as much as you try to look at the negatives, you also look at the positives. The most intelligent football administrator in Nigeria today is Shehu Diko. You see, I have gone closer to all of them. In terms of intelligence, I'm saying it again, the most intelligent football administrator in Nigeria today is Shehu Diko. But administratively, Shehu Diko was brought into office in place of Nduka Irabo, one of the very good administrators we had then. Nduka Irabo managed the league to the best of his knowledge, and it was not a failure. Diko was the vice chairman to Nduka Irabo, and suddenly, when Amaju Pinnick became president, it was obvious that we cannot have the president from the South-South and also have a second vice president from the South-South. You understand? Because Undukai Rabo is from the South, it's from Delta State. So there was need for one of them, for Undukai Rabo to step down. So they now told Undukai Rabo to step down and Shehu Diko bring from the North to take over. He was the vice president then. He became the president of the, he became the chairman of the LMC and the MPFL. Now look, the reason why people supported Diko to come into office was because people knew that Diko is so intelligent. Diko understands what it takes to run the league. But unfortunately for Diko, Diko is sentimental. You understand? Is tribally sentimental and religiously sentimental. I'm sorry to say he's my friend, like I said. But you see, over time, I have told him, I said, look, you will fail. Why you will fail is because Kanu Pillars will beat up somebody in Kanu. You will not ban Kanu Pillars. You understand?
Yes.
Sunshine Stars will beat up somebody on those states. You will ban Sunshine Stars. You understand? So
Yeah.
those things will not help your league. And suddenly, people begin to lose confidence. People began to lose confidence in Shehu Diko. And over time, even the sponsors knew that things were not going right. The sponsors, if we go to discuss with the sponsor today, the sponsor we are set to come in tomorrow, and before you know it, they are pulled out. We have heard of over 5 sponsors over the years, but suddenly we don't see them. It is because
why do you think that
sponsors lost confidence in the league. It is because individuals, parties lost confidence in the league, and that is how we found the league where it is today.
Well, speaking of that, man, so it was interesting to me. I think there's about, from what the last count, there's 7 candidates I can remember, right?
Yeah.
And I was reading up on those candidates, and from what I remember, only maybe 2 or 3 of them actually have any kind of plan that they want. You know, whether they're going to actualize those plans or not. But everybody else is just based on, oh, I was a politician here, I was this, that. And only 3 can. And one of them, speaking of sponsorship, Musa Amadu.
Yeah.
There's something very interesting that came out of just reading about his statements. He's the only person that talked about transparency.
Yeah.
You know, and it actually surprised me because you know, a lot of people criticize Amaju Pinnick a lot. But the one thing, and I'm one of them, but the one thing I would give Pinnick for is, for the first time, it seemed like sponsors were gravitating towards sponsoring the Super Eagles and sponsoring the league, to a certain extent. But under Pinnick seemed to be able to negotiate these deals, or at least we heard about these deals that were imminent, about to happen. But the one thing I would say is that how is the money being spent? No one really knew this cloud. So I do like that Musa Amadu has come out and said that if elected president, of course he's saying that now, if elected president, that he will be transparent. He will show exactly the accounting of how the monies are being spent.
Yeah.
And I think there's another gentleman.
That's a very key point. You see that, like I said about Shehu Diko, it was a Diko Amaju partnership. At a point, you would think that Shehu Diko was the president of the NFF because they became so close. Amaju, the problem with Amaju was that Amaju was more interested in improving himself than improving Nigerian football. Amaju was busy negotiating for CAF positions and FIFA positions. Amaju never thought about Nigerian football. Amaju will go out there and look for money. He will tell you, we have signed a deal with Globacom. It will not tell you how much is the deal. Shehu Diko will tell you, we have signed a deal with MTN. It will not tell you how much it is the deal. Before this time, during the days of Aminu Megari, if a deal was signed, you will know that they've signed a deal of 500 million. Then you will know how that 500 million will be spent. That is what Musa Amadu, who worked as the general secretary under Aminu Megari, is telling everybody now. He said we'll go back to time of old, where we'll come out and say, we signed a deal of 500 million, and this is how we are going to share the money. And this is how the money is. If the money is coming in instrumentally, if we are going to get 100 million per year, we'll let you know that we are getting 100 million per year. We signed a deal with Aitio for over 7-8 years. Nobody knows how the money is coming in. They go into Aitio office, they pick up the money, and they share it with their families. Now, let me give you a gist. Do you know that the FA Cup package to date, nobody knows what is involved? They will only tell you that the winner will get 25 million. Even the winner of the last FA Cup has not received their money till this day. You see, those are the things, those are the issues. These guys, they have personal relationship with the sponsors. They will tell the sponsors, we will declare you are giving us $500 million or 500 billion naira. We will declare 2.5 billion. The remaining 2.5 billion we share between ourselves. Over the years, they use their personal companies, their personal accounts to receive NFF money. Personal accounts to receive NFF monies. And they use that money. Once they collect those money, it is from their own personal accounts they share the monies. I am a witness. I know most of these things. I have done businesses with them. Even from Canada here, I do business with them. They'll call me, Wale, please, I want you to use this and these stories for me. I'll do the stories and I'll tell them, if I do 10 stories for you, this is how much you're going to pay me. They'll say, okay, we'll pay you. And when they pay me from the account of personal. They don't pay me from the NFL. They pay me from personal accounts, not even with their names.
Well, are you sure?
You understand? So I see these things and I'm like, no, these are dirty bills.
Yeah, Wale, are you sure they're going to still keep giving you stories?
Yeah, because you're revealing too much.
No. You see, it pays them to work with me. It pays them to work with me than not to work with me. You know why? Because they fear you more when you know their secret. You understand? Like I said, we have wined and we have dined together. Even before I left Nigeria, even when I left Nigeria, they were even begging me not to go. If I was still in Nigeria today, I would be the media officer of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I would be the media officer. I would have taken over from Tony Bitoye because of the relationship we have built over the years. As it stands, if any of them becomes NFF president today, they want me to come back home. You understand? But the truth of the matter is, as much as they hate my guts, they like the fact that I say the truth. And that is why every Nigerian like me today, everybody in Nigerian sports, all the 10, 11 candidates, they call me every day and say, Wale, we want you to advise us. Because they know I will tell you the truth. I will tell you, look, you don't have what it takes to be NFF president. As much as we love you, you are a friend, but you have failed us over the years. You have lost your integrity. You cannot lead Nigerian football to the next level. The Nigerian sports minister, Sunday Dare, talks to me on a daily basis. And that was why yesterday, I was the first person that went on air to announce to the world that the NFF election fixed for 30th of September will not hold. You understand? Yeah. I was also the first to announce too that the president, the minister of the Nigerian football, the sports minister has invited all the presidential candidates to a meeting. They're having a meeting on Tuesday. At that meeting, a lot of decisions will be taken. The minister will come out bluntly and let them know the new direction because the minister is not happy. But again, the minister is scared of one thing. If he talks today, they will say it's government interference. So now, some of us, who understand the system, have been able to advise him on how to manage this situation. Over the years, they scare us with FIFA ban. My dear, there is no FIFA ban anywhere. FIFA knows that these issues are internal issues. Yeah, do you know that Amaju wrote a personal letter to FIFA asking FIFA to insist that the NFF election should be shifted to January? And FIFA wrote a letter to him. I have a copy of that letter. FIFA wrote a letter to him telling him that we cannot shift the NFF election to January next year because the matter of the election is an internal issue.
Business. Yes, but let me ask you. Well, let me ask you this question then.
Yeah.
The whole argument of government interference. I took. There's actually a blog article I wrote. I can send a copy to you. And I was comparing the U.S. Soccer Federation in terms of financial management and revenue generation to Nigerian Football Federation. And the one thing I found, which I thought was interesting, was essentially how the Nigerian Football Federation makes its money. And I found that a significant amount of the money comes from the government grants that are included in the budget that's received from the federal government of Nigeria. So if the government wants to control, they don't have to get involved. They just have to threaten to withhold that money.
Yeah.
And not give, because that's where they get most of their money from. The other part of the money comes from sponsorship. You know, the other parts that they don't generate any money. And I got that information because I'm sure you can remember the Price Waterhouse audit.
Price Waterhouse audit, yes.
So that information, that Price Waterhouse, because they did the audit, it was public and they had to publish their findings. right? So I was able to get that information. But at the end of the day, when you look at it, the Federation of Nigeria just has to threaten. Sunday Dare just has to threaten to withhold their money. I know they'll probably ask people to write articles about how
yes, they will get journalists to write articles, and they will now try to implicate government by saying that government is trying to hold back money and not trying to encourage Nigerian youth. You see, they have a way of doing these things. The editors, the sports writers, most of the journalists work for the NFF because they pay them. So what they do is they will quickly look for a way to try to inject Sunday Dare, make him look as if he's fighting against Nigerian youth. And as Minister of Youth and Sports, he will not want to do anything like that.
And you know what, Wale? Sunday Dare would actually, because he's the Minister of Sports in that country, he has the power of the pulpit. He can counteract them before they make a move. So he threatens it, he withholds their money, then he does a media talk. Then he tells everyone around the country, these are the reasons why. And I want to have a conversation on public debate with Amaju Pinnick to debate these issues and bring everything to the front so we can solve the problem in Nigerian football once and for all.
The problem is Sunday Dare, I don't know that he's actually the person that people will really trust, because there's been some very baffling decisions that he's made over time when it comes to, especially with the Super Eagles and football, or suggestions that he's made. So I know it's a power play suggestion here, but I doubt that he's the man. His integrity is not in the public space, is not such that we would even look at it and think that this is an honest attempt to clean things up.
And Mike, the thing is, I honestly believe the ministry is afraid of NFF. I've kind of seen it over the years. They're afraid to rock the boat with NFF.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
You see, the former sports minister Solomon Dalong came out and fought with the NFF. He took them from EFCC to ICPC, from ICPC to ISPL. He did everything, but at the end of the day, he lost the battle. But see, look, it takes tactics to fight the NFF. Sunday Dare has been the most successful of all of them in terms of sports minister, in terms of facing the NFF. If it was not for Sunday Dare, let me be frank with you. I'm not saying it because I'm close to him, but I'm being frank to you now. Look, if it was not for Sunday Dare, Amaju Pinnick will not leave office. It takes the wisdom of Sunday Dare to tell. You say, let me tell you what you don't know. At a point, the federal government did not address Amaju Pinnick as president of the NFF. They wrote him personal letter. These are information that nobody has heard before. I'm going to let you know now. They wrote him personal letters from the Nigerian government telling him that if FIFA bans Nigeria because of you, you should consider this as treasonable felony to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So now the letters were addressed to Amaju Pinnick, not to the president of the Nigerian Football Federation. And in that case, he could not take it to FIFA. And that was why he went on a national TV to announce that he was not contesting for the third time. Amaju was bent on contesting for third time. Amaju was bent on perpetrating this evil for another 4 years. But we needed the ingenuity and the wisdom of the sports minister to tell Amaju to step down. And it was because Amaju stepped down that we were able to call for an AGA. If Amaju never stepped down, there will not be an AGA. There will not be plan for an election because Amaju was already working to take his tenure to January 2023. Now, you know why he wants to go to January. There's a meeting in CAF. A meeting will be taking place in CAF in December. At that meeting, they will take a decision on who can contest for the next NFL president. I mean, for the next CAF president. Amaju wants to put in to become the next CAF president. You understand? Now, he can only become the next CAF president if he remains the president of the Nigerian Football Federation. That is when he can put in to contest for that. If he's not there, he needs the present president of the NFF, the current president of the NFF to endorse him to go and participate as the president of CAF. So that is what he's doing. That is why now he knows he's not going to be there. But he wants to do everything humanly possible to put one of his stools there so that that person can recommend him to go and become the next CAF president.
Let me ask a question.
You understand?
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
If Amaju Pinnick were to contest for CAF presidency, and let's just say for some reason he wins, he's politically savvy in the African sphere. Do you think that would be a good thing for Nigeria?
Yeah, it's going to be a good thing for Nigeria, seriously. But as a FIFA Council member, do you know that Amaju was former vice president of CAF? Yes. He rose to the position of vice president of CAF. He also rose to he has risen to the position of FIFA Council member. We have been asking questions. As sports journalists, we are all sports journalists. Do you know that there's no Nigerian sports journalist that has been given opportunity into any of the CAF media offices? We don't have a Nigeria in any of the CAF media, apart from Mbonu, the lady that is a member of the CAF committee, FIFA CAF media committee. There is no Nigerian journalist, English-speaking Nigerian journalist, that has been given opportunity into CAF office, CAF media.
How long has that been going on for?
That's been there for close to 8 years now, since Amaju took over. Because Amaju has got the opportunity. Others don't have that opportunity. Amaju has that opportunity. We expect that Amaju should look at Nigerian journalists and say, hey, you guys, come, what can you offer? Give them opportunities. He has not done that. Now, you know what Amaju does as NFF, as a CAF vice president, and eventually now FIFA council member. Amaju only give opportunity to those that are loyal to him.
Of course.
He has taken Shehu Diko. He has taken Shehu Diko to the position of first vice chairman of CAF what they call league committee. He has taken Sheyi Akumi. What he does is to position his people in CAF and FIFA. He does not extend that opportunity to others who he thinks are not loyal to him. You understand? So look, you don't do it that way. Let me give you an instance. Do you know that the match against Ghana, Nigeria versus Ghana, the match that made us not qualify for the World Cup, it got to a point. CAF invited Amaju Pinnick and told him, look, Ghana does not have a pitch. The pitch they had, the Accra Township Stadium, was to be used for Ghana Independence Day. So they told CAF that they don't have a pitch to host the match, except they take us to Kumasi. The NFF knew that the Kumasi Stadium was not ready. And CAF told us that if we take a decision not to play that match in Ghana, that they will approve that decision. So they were already thinking of taking that match to Cotonou, and Nigeria could have gone to Cotonou and played Ghana on a neutral ground, which if we beat Ghana in Cotonou, we just come back home and consolidate. So it got to that point when they asked Amaju to take a decision and say, do you want to play in Cotonou or you want to go and play in Kumasi? Amaju now went into negotiation with the Ghana government. You know the negotiation is this. That the FA chairman of Ghana will give him a vote if he wants to contest for the CAF presidency. I am telling you all these things because I have all this communication on my page. We discuss on a daily basis. Well, I do all these press releases for him.
Which is precisely why I asked that question, because when you look at certain precedents, I honestly don't see what benefit Nigeria has had from having Pinnick as the president of NFF. Maybe, in fact, I'll say any favorable decision that he's accrued towards Nigeria have really not been favorable. Because in our reality, let's think of a couple of things. Number one, there's no way we should have been playing football on some of those pitches that we played in and some of the qualifiers.
Exactly.
That's
Benin City, the Benin City pitch, especially.
That's what he did, was allow those pitches, and that was to the detriment of Nigerian football.
Exactly.
Second of all, and this is the general, not just Amaju, but Amaju is the main person in this region. Nigeria is the main power in WAFU. The simple fact that Nigeria and Ghana have to play each other in qualifiers is a travesty. In the youth, in the under 17s, under 20s, under 23s, for the WAFCONs, they pitch all the West African teams against each other. And we all know that the powerhouse in football in Africa comes from the North and West African side. That was something that they agreed upon at some of these CAF congresses where Amaju was sitting there. To me, I feel like that to me is the biggest failure of his administration. If you had to ask me to pinpoint one major thing. So this is why I'm thinking, why are we even? To me, Amaju hasn't helped.
He has not helped Nigerian football in any way. So he knows too that majority of his board members knew that he was only doing it for his personal interest. Whatever he has gained in FIFA or in CAF, has been for himself and for his friends and for his families. You understand? So we have come to a point where we now say that, Amaju, you've been there forever. You've been in CAF, you've been in FIFA. We have not seen your impact on Nigeria as a nation. We have not seen it. So he knows that if he's not there, whoever is NFL president will not recommend him to be CAF president.
Oh, yeah,
he will not get that recommendation. That is why he said, you see, on the day he announced that he is not going to contest for a third term, you know what he said? He said, I am not going to intervene. I'm not going to interfere in who becomes the NFL president, but I will intervene. He said that on the national TV, that he will intervene. Intervention meaning that he's going to put his own shoes to become the next NFL president, which we will not allow.
And I hope not. I really hope not. Another small issue, this is just a bite, is the fact that Nigeria doesn't ever have any referees that go referee any competitions.
Yeah.
The last referee I saw, I think, might have been a woman referee at the just concluded WAFCON in Morocco. Otherwise, when you look at all the previous African Cup of Nations, global competitions, even the youth tournaments, Nigerian referees are never there. So again, when you look at these little tidbits, to me, the incumbents that are there, what's happening? They're not really they haven't shown me that these guys are ready for this job or that they want to do the job. I think just like we've been talking about, it just looks like self-aggrandizement. These guys just going in there for their own pockets as far as when even the other candidates we're talking about Mr. Musa Amadou. Who knows when he enters, what is going to happen? Again, I'm a little wary because of the fact that you're telling me the government is endorsing him, because the government is not just an artificial individual. It is people inside there. So if he's been recommended, that means there's some side deals being done, and who knows how that's really going to benefit us. Fun, right? You know
what? All of them, all the candidates went to government for endorsement. Now, government have taken time to look at the reputation of each of the candidates that came. Chris Omero would have been another perfect candidate. He is the head of FIFA security unit. He's a very good candidate for that position too. But he's also a very good candidate for the secretariat. We felt that he's still young, he's new to the system. He's a member of the NFF secretariat before he got the opportunity to be in FIFA and CAF. So now, government has taken time to look at the credentials of each of those that want to become NFF president. For them, every other person, Shehu Diko, Ibrahim Gusso, Sheyi Akinwumi, all these guys have been part of the Amaju Pinnick government for the past 8 years. If they had anything to offer to football, they should have done it while they were working with Amaju. Sheyi Akinwumi was the vice president of NFF under Amaju Pinnick. What did you bring to the table? Nothing.
Shehu Diko was is the president of Lagos State Football Association.
Even Lagos State too. Nothing. They don't have a league. Lagos State does not have a league for the past 8 years. No league in Lagos State. You understand? Even the teams in the NPFL, MFM, the MFM have been relegated. So what has it brought to the table? Nothing. Shehu Diko was the president, was the chairman of the LMC and the NPFL. What did he bring to the table? Nothing. So government have looked at the credentials of everybody involved. The only thing that gave it to Musa Amadou was the fact that Musa Amadou worked under the Aminu Megari regime. That is the most successful NFF regime in the last 40 years. That was the same board that won the Nations Cup in 2013. The same board that took us to the second round of the World Cup in 2014. Yeah, 2014. You see, they won 13 titles for Nigeria. They won the under-17 2 times. They won the AFCON, the Women's Nations Cup 3 times. They won so much. 13 titles for Nigeria. So if you look at those credentials and you are like, they also know too the processes that took Aminu Megari and Musa Amadou out of office. They knew it was like a plan coup. It was the PDP government. It was like, okay, look, the PDP government under Goodluck Jonathan wanted to put their own person there, and that was how they played the politics. And Oduagan, Oduagan was the former governor of Delta State. Yeah. And Oduagan is an in-law to Amaju Pinnick. You understand? So Oduagan now went to Goodluck Jonathan and said, this is our government. We need to put our person. that was how they brought Amadou Pini from the Blues and made him the president of the NFF.
Because I remember Amadou Pini was a former chairman for Warri Wolves.
Yeah.
And
he was the chairman of Delta State Football Association.
Then he became chairman of Delta State FA before DJ Okocha became chairman of Delta State FA.
Yeah, I got one question for you because I don't know much about this guy. I don't know if you know anything of this David Doherty gentleman that lives in the UK.
In the UK,
First of all, I'm actually surprised they allowed him to contest.
Yeah.
And number two, I don't know much about him. So
I don't know much about him. I know that he's a football agent. All I know is that he's a football agent. Is into football players management. And the truth of the matter is that as much as we don't know much about him, as much as we would have loved to give him an opportunity, he doesn't have a chance. Because look, like I said, this thing is done by the FA chairman. You don't just come out from somewhere and say you want to be NFL president tomorrow. You understand? You need to, over time, work with this FA chairman. You need to know them. You need to see, if you want to contest for election, you must go and talk to the people that will vote you into office.
Of course.
You don't wake up and say I want to be president, even if it is not football, anything, even in the Nigerian Bar Association. You don't just wake up and say you want to be president of the Nigerian Bar Association. You must go and meet the delegates. You must discuss with the delegates. There are delegates in every election you contest for. So, unfortunately, he doesn't know these people, and these people don't know him. So he comes up to them and say, I want you people to vote for me. It's not going to work that way. I doubt if you can get a vote.
And Wale, the thing I find interesting is, okay, we all know the problems facing our Nigerian Football Federation and the development of football and development of athletes in the country and all the issues that they run into. And based on what you listed, all the different 44 groups that make up the delegate,
Congress.
Right? The Congress, right? When you look at each one of those groups, state FAs, chairman of LMC,
chairman of coaches,
chairman of
referees,
NNL, chairman of NNL, NLO, chairman of NLO, you start to wonder, all these entities, each one of them, chairman of Youth Fund, Youth Sports Federation of Nigeria.
That one is not even there again. Chairman of Youth Fund is no longer there. They removed them. They're no longer there.
And they probably did that for a reason, because chairman of Youth Fund means you have to really focus on grassroots.
On youth, yes, exactly.
So when you look at all these bodies, each one of those bodies represents a significant part of development of sport, of football specifically, in the country. And you and I know that to get their votes, they just grease their palms. Which is disturbing, because those people as well are complicit in the election of someone who comes and takes the football into the drain. Because at the end of the day, if you're chairman of NLO and you're looking at the amateur league system, and the amateur league system is in shambles, and someone comes and says, listen, my brother, take this envelope, give me a vote. And you say yes, you just sold out the entire amateur league for a paycheck.
Well, I think the issue with this, and you bring up a very good point, and I think this is my point that I wanted to make when I looked at the list of candidates that are running for this office. And it goes all the way down even to the grassroots level. Are the people running those organizations, are they football people? What do they know about football? So that's when you have, it's politicians in these positions for the most part. And correct me if I'm wrong, even all the way down to these grassroots levels that we're talking about. These are appointments. A lot of these offices, especially in the States, are appointed positions.
Wait, Mike, are they appointments or are they elected?
Okay, let me explain a few things to us. In fact, that is where the complications come in, and that is why these guys are agitating. The likes of Harrison Jala and the likes of Bariboti are fighting. Now, in trying to be very clever, do you know that 3 key positions are not elected positions? The chairman of NLO is not elected. He was appointed. Before now, it used to be elected. Under Amadou Pinnick regime, they were appointed. So the chairman of the present NLO today, his name is Muhammad Alkali. Alkali is a member, now listen to me. Alkali is the chairman of Nasarawa State Football Association.
Okay.
He's also the chairman of NNO, meaning that Alkali as an individual has 2 votes.
Wow.
Going out of the 44. only one person has 2 votes. You're getting the game. You're getting the gimmick now.
Yeah.
Akali, as an individual, has 2 votes. The same thing with the chairman of the NNL. His name is Obinna Ogba. Obinna Ogba is a senator in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He's a senator. Obinna Ogba is the chairman of the NNL. Unfortunately, the former chairman, Chidi Okenwa, died. He died just about a year ago. Now they made Obinna Ogba the chairman of the NNL. Obinna Ogba is also the chairman of Ebonyi State FA. You understand?
Yeah.
Meaning that Obinna Ogba also has 2 votes.
Nigeria.
You see the complications. Now, what they did with that is that they know that they can play with those 2. With that, if you get Obinna Ogba and you get Alkali to your side, you've already gotten 4 votes. You see the dirty politics these guys are playing. Now, they kept those guys there as appointees, not as elected members.
I see.
They gave them opportunity to be on the board for 8 years as appointees. So those ones now will show loyalty. They will show loyalty, and automatically, anybody Amaju tells them to vote for, they will vote for.
The league management chairman is also an appointed position.
Shehu Diko is also an appointee of the NFF, of the president. Unfortunately, he is not an FA chairman, so he has 1 vote.
Yeah. Yeah, but if Shehu Diko, well, I guess he could vote for himself, obviously, since he's running too. But
yeah, he can vote for himself. Yeah, everybody that is running for president, Sheyi Akinwumitu can also vote for himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But typically in environments where my brother are weak, in environments where things should be organized, you understand? Typically in those environments, someone like Shehu Diko, you know, I don't know him personally, I have nothing against him, but he shouldn't be allowed to run because, you know, he has a vote, he's voting for himself. He has a job.
You can do that. I think that's legally allowed. You can vote for yourself.
Legally, you can vote for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the president
even the governors vote for themselves.
but you're running the league management committee, right? You're in charge of something. Yeah, company. Sorry, you're in charge of something, and then you're turning around to contest, and you are appointed.
Yeah,
there's so many conflicts of interest all over the place.
But my biggest thing about Shehu Diko, and I'm sorry he's your friend, Wale, but to me he's failed in his role.
I have told you, brother. I've told you that he has failed. I told him I say he has failed. Yeah.
I mean, you're free to run, but if you look at your profile, what are you going to do when you're going? The league is in the worst level I've seen Nigerian Football League in all the times I've followed Nigerian football. And it is a direct consequence of decisions being made by the chairman. I'm sure there are extenuating circumstances, COVID and all these other things that have happened over time. But here, this is the truth. This is just the raw data.
He's in charge. He's in charge. There's no
Sheyi Akinwumi, what are his accomplishments of recent? I'm sorry, I'm sure they are, but to lead Nigerian football out of the doldrums where we're at right now, we need somebody who's ready to get dirty and get the work done. I fear that doesn't even matter.
You see, based on what we've discussed so far, we've come to a point where we have agreed that everybody that worked under Amaju Pinnick should not even contest. They don't have a chance because they've been there for 8 years with Amaju Pinnick, and we discovered that this is the worst we have ever gotten for our football. We didn't qualify for the World Cup. We went to the Nations Cup. We went out in the second round of the Nations Cup. It has never happened in a very long time. Our women's team went to the AFCON and they finished 4th. They even lost to Morocco. I mean, no, that has never happened. Our under-17 team, under-20 team don't even qualify again. They don't even qualify. They used to win, but now they don't even qualify. Yeah. Our under-23 team did not qualify for the Olympics. It's looking as if we will not qualify. Our CHAN team has not qualified for back-to-back CHAN Nations Cup. That is a big setback for Nigerian football. It means that the Nigerian League is non-existent. Our teams in Continental Championship, Continental events, CAF Continent, playing in the CAF Champions League and the Cup Winners' Cup, they don't even make it into the group stage again. It shows that the league is gone. We don't have a league. The league is no longer on television. We cannot watch our league on TV. That has been
it's no longer on Super Sport. It used to be on Super Sport, right?
Yeah, it's not on TV. It's not on Super Sport. It's not even on NTA.
Wow.
That is how bad it is. You understand? So we've come to a point where we have told Shehu Diko, look, you are a friend, but we have discovered that over the years, you have not been able to live up to our expectation. So please, we don't think you can do it. And that is why you see me telling you, sitting down here telling you that if you want me to pick one of those candidates, the only person even you can accept based on these credentials is Musa Amadu.
Okay.
You understand?
But the thing is, I think, and I hear you, and you're not the only person that mentioned Musa Amadu.
Yeah.
I have a good friend of mine who's also involved in football business out of, he lives in Kaduna.
Yeah.
He also speaks very highly of Musa Amadu. So I've heard that as well. But I think for us is like, okay, the one thing that you've been able to do very well, Adewale, is that you've been able to explain the system.
Yeah.
In such a way that anyone that listens to this can say, okay, now I see what the problem is. Now I understand why Nigerian football is not making progress. I think in just explaining the system, you know, it just because every level of what we just discussed is affected by what we just talked about. State FAs, you know, state FAs, amateur leagues, second tier football, Premier football, organizing the organizers of the Premier football, the board members of the federation. It's like it's a big mafia.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. You know, it sounds like
it's a cabal. It's a cabal. See, you know what FIFA did? It got to a point where FIFA now decided, okay, now we're going to set up an integrity department in the NFF. They set up an integrity, and the man they made the head of the integrity department, his name is Christian Omeruo, the same guy that today is contesting for the NFF presidency.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, Christian Omeruo used that platform to get into CAF and FIFA and became a member of the security unit. Now, let's come back to Christian Omeruo. As the head of the integrity department of the NFF, Christian Omeruo now told each of them, now let me give you some of the dirty games you don't understand. The chairman of each state football association, now deals with the LMC directly. If a referee is coming to Nasarawa State to officiate a match involving Nasarawa United and Atlant Football Club, the referee will be received by the chairman of the FA. You understand? Now, the chairman of the FA receives the referee and puts him in an hotel. He puts him in an hotel and goes into that hotel and says, what do you want to eat? He gives him food and he gives him money. And you expect that same referee to go to the field of play and blow against Nasarawa United. It will not happen.
Really? There you go.
You see the dirty game. So now they are not saying that the integrity unit was supposed to check all these things. And the integrity unit has also advised that the chairman of a state FA should not be the chairman of the club. In some states, the chairman of the FA who receives the referee is also the chairman of the football club. You get this dirty game. Now, I am the chairman of Nasarawa United. I'm also the chairman of the state FA. I'm also going to receive a referee that is coming to blow against my team. What I do as the chairman of the state FA or the chairman of the club is to say, gentlemen, what do you need? We want to win this match at all costs. And the referee tells me, pay my indemnity. Under normal circumstances, it is supposed to be the league body that pays the indemnity of the referees. But it got to a point where this league body could no longer do that. And they now start talking to the FA to say, please help us pay.
Yeah.
And the FA or the club, after paying, will now tell the referee that, look, I have paid you. Go to the field of play and give me 3 points. And that is what has been happening in the Nigerian league over the years.
And
the
definition of that is match fixing.
It's total match fixing.
But
they negotiate everything. They negotiate the points.
Yeah, Wale, honestly, it's been a pleasure having you on. I think we're running out of time, but I want to have you back on as well with Mike, because this thing has been suspended indefinitely.
Yeah.
We have to watch this space
till January. Probably till January, Avi.
You know,
imagine now, knowing what I know now, I'm looking at this judge that suspended the election. It's like, is he really working for us or is he working for Amaju at this point? Because
who knows? Who knows? You know, we just have to watch this space. I don't know what that means for the football. And, you know, I know we have qualifications coming up. You're familiar with U20 and U17. Yeah. So I don't know what that means, how that affects. Because, you know, you and I know when elections come, business stops. Everything stops. They want to
unfortunately, I woke up very late today. I slept late yesterday. Some of my guys came visiting. We had a mini party here, so I slept late. I woke up this morning, and I think there's a letter from FIFA. I don't know if I could quickly see that. Somebody posted it because I don't know if you guys don't mind. I'm going to add you on the WhatsApp platform I run.
No, yeah, go
there
ahead.
You're going to get all the information about Nigerian football. And daily, you will know what is happening in Nigerian football. You understand?
Yeah.
So on that platform, I saw it this morning that FIFA has instructed the NFF that, look, whatever is happening back home, if the reason why people are insisting that this election cannot hold is because they want everybody to be part of it, we advise that you should get everybody to be part of the elections. I have not read the full details of that message, but I think that there's something that just came up. And after this, I'm going to push it to you guys so that you can also see it. And let's see what you guys can pick out of it too.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
We've run out of time, but thank you so much. I'll give you Mike's number as well so you can add him to the thing.
I actually put it in the chat, in the comments.
Yeah, let's
is this Mike Oyuwere?
Oh, Okoro?
No, Mike Okoro.
Mike Okoro. Okay, I think I've heard of your name too. We're going to do a lot together, guy.
No problem. My brother, look, we'll have to schedule something. This is interesting. And I think the next, especially since the fact that they suspended this election.
Yeah.
You know, Nigeria is not without its drama.
But
drama, I did tell you. But no problem.
Like I told you, the minister is inviting them to a meeting on Tuesday. Now let me tell you what might happen at that meeting. At that meeting, the minister will tell them that all of you running for the NFL presidency, this is our position. The minister is going to make clear the position of the government. It's a government position. The position of the minister is not that of the minister, it's the government position. I think the government will tell them, look, we are not going to do the election on the 30th of this month. We are going to negotiate with those in court. And in negotiating with them, we arrive at this position with them because we discover that you guys are not willing. The ministry has told them to negotiate over the years. They refuse to negotiate. Now it has gotten to the point where the minister will now tell them, look, government is going to negotiate with these people. And whatever we agree is what we stand. You understand? So that our football will not continue to suffer. We will sit down with them and we'll negotiate. And whatever we negotiate, government will tell you guys, since FIFA has insisted that this is an internal matter, go and settle it internally. We want to do it. We want to settle it internally now. Whatever we agree with these guys, we will propose it to the Congress. And we expect that the Congress will approve it. And once the Congress approves it, if it is approved before the end of this month, we can now advise the Congress to sit and fix another date. My brother, if the Congress fix another date for the election and this thing has been approved, this case can be withdrawn from court in the next few days and we can still have the election in October. We can have the election before the end of October. You understand? Yeah. This whole idea of election we hold in January does not exist. They are only advising or insisting that once you get us back to the system, you can fix a date for the election and we're ready to go for the election.
100%. And on that note, thank you guys. All the best. And I will definitely have to do this again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.